So, greetings to all of you. And I'm really delighted to host this webinar. The last one in this kind of calendar year, but nonetheless, dwelling on a very, very important topic of circular economy in action. So just to reintroduce the topic and broadly share about this webinar series. So we have Karo Sambhav, with support of a whole range of producers, has been doing a webinar series for this is our third series over a period of 3 years now. And this specific series is focusing on action in the circular economy. We are not talking the theory of circular economy. We are not debating, why is it important or not. What we are discussing is how do we bring real-time action to this space? And real-time action is more and more critical as we are advancing in this decade of change. If you all recall, in the beginning of this decade was judged as the defining decade, the decade of change, which will help us define what humanity would look like, from now. So as we near, as we are getting nearer to 2030, with this one more year passing, we also need to make significant advances in how we are managing the show. How are we consuming resources? How are we managing our finite resources? And what change are we really trying to bring? So in this dialogue today, the focus is on throwing certain light on what certain people and institutions are doing in their states, in their cities, and what kind of big change are they trying to drive. And it is super important, like I said, that we recognize this change and find ways to amplify so that a catalytic effect can be brought and we see much, much larger scaled up change happening in the market. This session, as I said, is supported by a range of brands. Apple, Dell Technologies, Canon, India, Cisco, and Ericsson are supporting us in this dialogue. And the primary objective of this series is to really inspire and initiate action. Action at all levels, whether it is the smallest, tiniest decision making or a real activity at a grassroots level. So how do we bring more life to this dialogue? How do we engage and inspire more and more people to partake this work is the primary focus. I am delighted to share that we have 3 speakers. Unfortunately, there was one more speaker who couldn't join us today from Mr. or Dr. N. Ramesh, the Member Secretary of Puducherry. He was supposed to give the opening keynote address. Unfortunately, due to some challenges at the last minute, he is unable to join. However, he has very strongly communicated, how, the state of Puducherry is now rethinking the transition to circular economy and what kind of practices they are putting. So we will get him back in a similar webinar in the future, but he has conveyed that, he just wanted us to convey that, there is good action which is happening and they're very interested in taking this dialogue further. So let me introduce with this the speakers who are participating in the session. So let me first talk about Dr. Rajesh Manerikar, who is the CEO of Poornam Ecovision Foundation. Dr. Manerikar is the founding member and CEO of this foundation. He did his PhD in environmental science and has also completed an MBA in CSR and NGO management. He is a NABET approved EIA coordinator for solid waste management and has special interest in livelihood generation through waste management, skill training for the underprivileged people, and creating awareness in the student community. Now, I think it is super important to get people like him to participate in these dialogues because in India, circular economy is very strongly dependent on participation of the marginalized community. Informal sector has played a very, very significant role in the past. I believe that, as we go ahead, how do we bring them in the formal space? How do we create more economic opportunities by creating better enterprises, by bringing good governance? And I would really like to emphasize the word good governance here. Until and unless we bring great governance, good governance in this whole space, where, every single value is implemented well, is thought through, we will not be able to solve the challenge. So, Dr. Manerikar, thank you for coming on board. We are really looking forward to interact with you as we go ahead in this session. Next, I would like to introduce Shri S.N. Jayaswal. He's a senior scientific advisor at Bihar State Pollution Control Board, Patna. He has previously served as the board analyst, which essentially means like a chief scientist, until his retirement in 2021, and continues to provide services to Pollution Control Board. During his tenure, he was the state nodal officer for National Clean Air Program and a member of the State Ganga Committee and many other technical committees. He has led programs on water and air quality monitoring, hazardous waste management, and served as a faculty member for training programs. Thank you, Jayaswal ji, for coming on board. We really would like to welcome you. And, when I hear about the Ganga Action Plan, a lot of pollution actually happens, once it passes the Muradabad belt, where e-waste has been a huge, huge nightmare. I mean, we have been trying to work with the UP State Pollution Control Board on how do we solve this. And again, it's a very, very challenging thing to solve, but would really love to hear your views. Thank you, sir, for coming today. Then I'd like to finally invite Mr. Shobhit Srivastava, a program manager from Center for Science and Environment. Welcome on board, Shobhit, and thank you for agreeing to be on the panel today. Shobhit holds 14 years of experience in resource efficiency for industries. He is working at the Center for Science and Environment, CSE, specializing in CEMS, industrial air pollution, and currently managing the industrial waste circularity vertical. He also worked at FICCI for a period of 8 years, where he conducted a whole range of water and energy audits. Welcome on board. And as I said, so the primary discussion today is focused on real action. And we would like to hear your stories. We would like to understand what is it that you believe should be done to and significantly enhance participation in this space. बातचीत तो बहुत हो रही है, but action अभी भी कम है. So how do we bring this real action? How do we bring more and more energy, more and more power, so that real change can happen? And the good news, what I see is, for example, just a couple of days back, people at the highest level in government, like Mr. Kant, have been talking very strongly about circular economy. He made a statement that circular economy could generate a market value of over 2 trillion. That's a number which I have never heard. So, and it is true. But he made that very strong statement and can lead to creation of over 10 million jobs by 2050. So what we are seeing is that circular economy at least is being positioned by government in all possible ways. There is strong intent, but is this intent going to convert into real action? And what is it that we need to do? Government can only sometimes, or in many cases, make visions, but it is, a lot of change makers, a lot of action players who will have to really make that thing happen. So today we have 3 different players from unique organizations who will share their views. I will chip in wherever I believe it is important to add certain things or to ask certain questions. To the audience who is present today, I kindly request you to park your questions in the question and answer chat box or in the chat box. We will be taking those questions as we proceed through the dialogue. So once again, thank you to all the brands who have supported us in doing this webinar series, and thank you to all the panelists. So I'll start my dialogue with Dr. Manerikar and Dr. Manerikar, if you can, come on video, that would be very helpful.
Yeah.
Hi.
Am I
nice to meet you here. Yes, you are visible and you are fully audible.
Yes.
So yeah, great. Over to you. I've spoken a lot, so happy to hear from you. And we can throw questions at each other. Do a debate as we go ahead.
Yes, definitely. So I would like to, because I am leading an organization working on ground in Pune and surrounding areas. So I would like to share my experience through few slides which I have prepared, so
Okay.
that it will be easy for the audience to get the concepts and the experiments what we are doing. So please allow me
Sure.
to share my presentation just for 1 minute. Is it visible?
Yes, it is visible. You can make it full screen. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
visible.
Okay, fantastic. So let me introduce Poornam Ecovision Foundation. And first of all, before starting, thanks for inviting me and inviting me in this platform, on this platform. So for entire Karo Sambhav team and all the sponsors and all other stakeholders. Especially this topic is very much important in current scenario. That the case studies which are happening, because if we see, seeing is believing, and people if see something is happening, they are inspired to follow those efforts and follow those steps. So that's what the principle, and with that principle we are working since last 12 years or so. Poornam Ecovision Foundation is a Pune based organization working in environment, sustainable development, and typically major area is waste management. So I would like to present a few of our concepts and ideas on which we are working. So we are working in with the mission of establishing one-stop solution for sustainable development. So a layman which wants to start something, which wants to follow something, which wants to buy something, or which wants to have a solution on some sustainable development related action, maybe at home, maybe at office, or maybe at his workplace, then he shall get some answer or some direction, not answer, maybe the direction on which he or she can work. So that's why the mission of the organization is like that. In that we are working in waste management sector mainly. Then we are doing research and development, especially applied research that we are talking about. And also in that area we are generating livelihood through participation of people and conserving environment. So the area of work what we are providing, what in which we are working, is waste management, environment sector, sanitation, training and training part, social awareness part, women empowerment, and social and school education, because that is the younger generation, they are coming and they will be the real owner of the
Dr. Rajesh,
yeah.
if I could request you to, focus on certain aspects of circular economy,
Yeah, that's
which
what I'm
you
saying.
have, where you have experimented and, some great learnings have come out. I think those are really keen for this dialogue.
That's what I am sharing. Just to begin with, I thought I shall give a basic idea. So
Sure.
we are working on e-waste, plastic waste. That is what we are focusing on. We have three basic projects: e-waste, plastic, and old fabric upcycling, and green consultancy, through which zero waste management is the concept. To begin with, what we have covered in this is the ESN project, which we covered this project in covered this entire project is collection, awareness and collection of e-waste on 26th of January 2024. So that was the project that we handled, and that project is done entire 9 cities, right from Sambhajinagar, Pune, Pimpri-Chinchwad, and in Konkan area, Ratnagiri and Malvan, or even Kolhapur, and so these are all areas in and around Pune. So those areas are covered in this project called 𝐸 It is basically working, making awareness in specific schools, colleges, residential colonies, and appealing people to donate e-waste on 26th of January, where we have established 259 collection centers across 9 cities. This is a volunteer participation drive, where around 550 volunteers are participated in these 260 centers. And the impact of it is we have collected around 6 tons of e-waste on that day, on a single day, 3 hours collection. And the follow-up effort is very much important, because in 5 cities we have established around 50 permanent centers in 5 cities after this drive. So that was a major impact of this drive, where you can see some of the pictures of the e-Yantran drive. Similar drive we are carrying out in Pune on every 23rd of February, that is on the occasion of Sant 𝐾𝐢𝐬𝐭𝐢𝐧𝐠𝐮𝐢𝐬𝐡𝐞𝐝, that is on 23rd of February, where we established last year, we established around 450 centers, which has been guarded by 1200 volunteers. And the important is it is across Pune city, so around 450 centers in each city. So if you can imagine the wards, there are 3 centers in each ward. There are 160 wards normally, and around 7,500 people have donated in this drive, and overall entire collection is around 40 tons, near to 40 tons of e-waste on single day. This is only single day collection.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's a plastic collection also, so around 13 tons of plastic collected in those 3 or 4 hours. So that's what the entire event.
Dr. Rajesh, can you just throw a light on a couple of questions? So first, are you finding some specific challenges that people have? So for example, we do a whole range of drives across the country, and one of the big challenges is, not challenge, but people expect a significant amount of cash back for a product. And if brands do not support with that sort of money to be given back, it becomes very challenging to do collections. Are you also, there is one of this. Second is the quality of recycling. The quality of recycling is a huge concern. When we started setting up Karo Sambhav, over the last 8 years, finding great quality recyclers, people who would do actually what they say, was a huge and very tough challenge, which led to us setting up our own plants in partnership with GIZ. And then, now, for example, we have set up a plant in Nashik recently. So I would like to hear your experiences in, executing this.
What you are saying is very correct. Majorly, people are, these 2 hurdles are very much are there. First one is people are expecting some return out of it. So, but since this is a CSR initiative, and as an NGO, since we are NGO entity, we are not involved. We are not involved ourselves in any transaction, because that transaction is very difficult to maintain the transparency of it. So that's why we purposefully keep ourselves aside through a transaction through with the people, with the donor. But as you see, there are around 7,500 donors on a single day. So that's a huge feedback or huge response from the donors. They are also, if you appeal them that this is an important aspect and this is to be addressed correctly. So that's awareness part that we are focusing on, and that is working. That's what we see. And secondly, we also face challenge in the recycler part, that is authentic recycling or the authentic recyclers and the transparent recyclers. Fortunately, we got some names and we are now continuing the part in that. But then in spreading the in scaling up, this is a major challenge, that the monitoring part of the monitoring part of the recyclers is very much important, and that is not focused. So that's why the challenge.
So what I can immediately see is ability to collaborate. So we have quite a lot of learning, So we have worked with a whole range of recyclers, have had good, bad, very bad experience, all type of things. So I'm very happy to come, do a separate dialogue with you and also figure out, if there are ability to connect. But
Definitely.
fantastic initiative, Dr. Rajesh, and really good to see that level of participation. I mean, this is unprecedented.
Thank you.
In many, and thank you for taking the initiative. At sometimes, organization spreads, and we did that fault. We spread ourselves too thin. We are acting in over 100+ cities. But what you have done is being very focused, reaching out to people, creating that sensation. Thank you for this initiative.
Thank you.
So I'll now like to invite Shobhit from Center for Science and Environment to just continuation. And Jayaswal, I'm just holding you on because you can bring in a whole overarching policy framework on how do we make sure that these sort of initiatives get impetus and are able to make significant impact. So I hope you don't mind. Okay. Yeah, over to you, Shobhit.
Yeah, thank you, Pranshu ji. A very good afternoon to everyone. And thank you, Karo Sambhav team, for organizing this very important webinar and flag the importance of circularity for future. And sorry for the glitch, my system was not working. So for those of you not aware of CSE, it's an environmental research and advocacy organization based in Delhi. So straight away coming to the point, I would like to start with a brief about CSE's work in industrial waste circularity. And then maybe we'll touch upon the circularity of hazardous waste in the country and some estimation of future scenarios of circularity of different waste in the country, which CSE has covered in its work. So, circular economy as currently is a major focus area, not only globally, but also at the national level. So it works on the principle that waste is not only a waste, but a resource. So to give you an idea about, the potential in the area, the annual material consumption of our country is, as compared to 7 billion tons in 2015, is expected to be double to 14.2 billion tons by 2030. And current recycling of goods stands at mere 20%. Now in Europe alone, the quantum of goods recycled is as high as 70%. So that is the the difference of circular economy in terms of
yeah. I'll just like to add one more thing because there is this very high debate that I'm nowadays participating in. Is the quality of recycling. Sometimes we just the term recycling. It's a very broad term, and in most cases, while Europe may be saying 70% and India is saying 20%. The quality of recycling may be many times lower because high quality recycling, which is required for circularity and is imperative, that sort of investment hasn't happened at a country level or even at a global level. So, does this sort of recycling lead to even circularity? For me, even that's a question mark.
Right. So basically, there are some issues and challenges with our supply chain itself. So that has to be addressed. The quality of recycling, as you rightly mentioned, is should be the focus. But first of all, the formation of our supply chain, the informal and the formal sector, that has to be looked into. Then the quality will come in, right? So as I was saying that more needs to be done for a more formalized transition to the circular economy regime, right? So policy level interventions are must. So and recently we have seen the draft EPR on packaging waste, packaging paper, and then solid waste management notification also came in just a couple of weeks back. So which is a good initiative. But it is important at the same time to keep a track of such initiatives so that we should not lag behind in the implementation part of these rules, right? So as the country is growing, to counter the international commitments and environmental challenges, shifting towards circular economy is the need of the hour. And it is no longer a choice for India as a country to practice circularity, right? So why CSE has, selected industrial waste circularity as a focus, because I just wanted to highlight some numbers for you, because the industry accounts for 31% of country's GDP on an average, and industry strategically is important for the overall economic development of the country, right? So it is important that their operations should also be sustainable. So industries are a major consumer of natural resource, one thing. It generates different types of waste, including hazardous, non-hazardous. They are a source of pollution. They are a source of CO2 emissions, right? So in all, industries have a major role in attaining the net zero targets of the country. Various types of industrial waste are generated in significant quantities in the country, now which are also referred to as high volume waste. So what CSC has done in its study is we have compiled some good practices in the form of case studies on different waste. So like we have covered, steel slag in iron and steel sector. We have talked about municipal solid waste, hazardous waste in manufacturing sector is getting utilized in cement industries and various other applications. Now then fly ash and gypsum from thermal power plant, red mud is a waste of aluminium sector. So accordingly we have covered 10 different waste from different industrial sectors which are getting utilized in some different so we have compiled the case study.
Yeah. So one of the things that we are debating is while you're talking of pre-consumer waste, we are talking primarily on post-consumer, and post-consumer is just growing enormously.
Yes.
CSC also has done some reports. Siddharth, I've been talking to Siddharth and Atin a lot. They have done some work on plastics waste. Some good reports have come. Right. How do you see role of an organization? Because still what is to be done versus what has been done, the gap is enormous. Enormous to say the least. How do we, and then governance challenges are very, very significant. I believe, Mr. Jayaswal will also throw some light on governance in this space, and how do we bring high quality recycling infrastructure. How do you see, CSC can drive those sort of things? Down to earth has been such a powerful medium to create that, knowledge. Are you starting to use the power of CSC as an institution to drive circularity, because it has such unique power in its own self as an organization?
Right. Yes, because exactly, because a role or media can play in shaping the circular economy is very important. For example, we can see the example of climate change and pollution, right? It has so much of media attention, but when we talk about focus on circularity, it is not as much as it should have been, right? So the reason being the pollution, once it started impacting you, then committees are getting prepared, and then similar is the case with the climate change as in pollution, right? So circularity is related to climate change also, pollution also. It is talking about decarbonization also, right? So basically what we have, as CSC, what we are doing apart from our studies, our researches, we are also putting out, in digital media, the cases which we have, going through, which we are observing in the industries. We are also putting it out. Because what we have observed that industries are working in silos. Some good practices are already there, but it is not, upskilled, because they are doing it in silos. So that is important, and that has to be, put out in the media. So like we at CSC are doing that part, but it has to be, more vigilant. From as CSC, as you as an organization, we can take the this thing through media forward. So basically the point is that impact is to be focused and interrelations are to be highlighted by the media. So that is the whole aspect.
Sure. So let me bring in Jayaswal ji in this conversation now, because he can bring in a very different light. So we have someone from a public goods space, then we have someone from a activist sort of space, and then we have someone from a policy making space, and most importantly, beyond policy making, enforcement, because until unless enforcement happens, policy making will not play the role that it ought to. So, sir, really looking forward to how you are driving a change. We, for example, at Karo Sambhav have worked very closely with Bihar Pollution Control Board over the last 6 years, I would say. So how do what do we do? How do we really, change the game, up the game?
Well, thank you very much, sir. Really, it's good afternoon to everybody. It's my privilege to be here as a panelist and to discuss the issue. Sir, as we know, and that e-waste management rules, before that investment rule came into the force and notified by the government of India, there were certain provisions under the hazardous waste rules earlier. We talk about the hazardous rule that was notified in 1989. There were certain provisions with respect to certain components of the electronic waste. Again, in hazardous waste rule in 2003, again certain provision came into the force for the implementation. Once the hazardous rule came into 2008, that there were certain provisions, but there were no defined rules for that, especially for the management of the e-waste earlier. Just after these developments, Government Ministry of Environment for Government of India notified the e-waste management rule 2011 earlier, and again after superseding the same rule, that is the e-waste management rule 2016 came, and further that is after superseding the same, the e-waste management rule 2022 has come into force, that is applicable from the 1st of April 2023. Sir, if we talk about the very beginning of the e-waste management rule that came into force, that is e-waste management rule 2011, sir, we took a lot of initiative for the implementation of the provisions that came into force after consultation with the stakeholders, concerned stakeholders. Sir, very beginning, once this e-waste management rule 2011 came into force, we had a consultation meet with the IT Association, Bihar State Electronic Development Corporation, academicians, and all the other concerned stakeholders for the availing their responsibilities. What are the responsibilities? In 2012, that is on 16th January 2012, sir. Further, sir, we published a lot of publication advertisements in the paper to show that the people will be aware and other stakeholders will be aware regarding their responsibility that defined the rules. Again, we also established that is the once there was some national seminar was organized at Delhi. We also invited from that national platform to come forward the recyclers and dismantlers in the state, so that the e-waste manager could be managed properly in our state. Sir, we are also trying to disseminate the information pertaining to the rules by printing the media and leaflets through the public. And sir, one important thing, our one more important responsibility, that identification or inventorization of the electronic waste in the state. So the first rule that came into 2011, in compliance with that, sir, we conducted inventorization of the e-waste in 5 major cities of the state, that is the Patna, Muzaffarpur, Bhagalpur, Gaya, and Darbhanga. So that was certain information pertaining to the e-waste generation, and that projected for the 2020. Sir, we also, of course, we trying our best to aware the people. A lot of organizations have been organizing the seminar on the e-waste, sir, and along with the Karo Sambhav, your organization, that was some seminar at the Arvind Mahila College, Patna, and that we aware the people and students also. That is Northeast Railway General GM office at Hajipur, that is located in Bihar, Central Northeast Railway. That is also organized and invited us to deliver the lectures on the e-waste management with respect to those. So we have been trying our best to convey the message to the compliance of their waste in 2021-22. And one more focus that, sir, your Karo Sambhav just started e-waste collection bhan in 2023, that is 1st January 23, and that was the flag of by our chairman on that
Yes,
very
sir.
day. So your vehicle that was supposed to collect the e-waste in the state from the different waste generator level or bulk generator level, sir. Sir, we also trying our best once the new rule came in 2016. We also went to the different divisional headquarters level, and we tried our best to convey the message to the concerned stakeholders, including the government official, to convey them this is the responsibility of the state government and the public executive bodies or the concerned stakeholders to comply with the provisions of the e-waste management rule with respect to 2016, sir. Again, sir, further, sir, we have also tried our best to government tried to convince our state government, that is the chief secretary level, sir, that key how the e-waste from the that is laying in the different department organization as an ideal e-waste. So this has to be channelized to the concerned recyclers. So we have discussed with our chief secretary level, sir, in previous sector. So that is our Patna Medical College hospitals under health departments and the UTSD and some organization have identified the MSTC Metal Trading Corporation corporation as a platform, and through that they have auctioned that 41 metric ton of the e-waste to the for a registered recycler to the Maharashtra. So right now, sir, we don't have any earlier we did not have any recyclers or dismantled in the state, but after this notification we have taken initiatives and we invited the recyclers, and so 4 units have has come into exist that is in process of either existence or in the process of the pipeline. So 4 units we have already granted the consent to establish and consent to 4 units, and 3 units have been granted the consent to operate, sir. Authorization has to be granted under this only one has granted, and they are under pipeline, sir. So these are the so we are trying our ways to implement the provisions of the rules. But again, sir, we faces some problems that key bulk consumers who are generating the waste, sir. That is, they are facing problems to get it channelized to the recyclers. But general peoples are not very still are not aware, and they are generating their waste through the municipal solid waste. Some of the rag pickers or the rag pickers or the kabadi wala that collects the waste, and they were trying to dismantle in their location. So we conducted some inspection and restricted them to not. This is not allowed. This is in the manner you only that the collect the waste, but it has to be channelized to only the registered recyclers. So rules has came into force that all the stakeholders like producer, manufacturer, recyclers, and refurbisher have to be registered by the central portal through the CPCB, and that have to comply with all the provisions that is inaugurated in the e-waste management rule 2022. Sir, one important is that what we are facing problem that we again that is the we don't have any TSDA facility in the state of Bihar. Suppose the recycling facility is going to establish, and there will be some sort of residual waste that will be going to be generated by the process, and which is not to be recycled again here, then it has to channel to the TSDA facility. So until unless we don't have the TSDA facility in the state of Bihar, there will be some sort of constant in the state of Bihar. So that is the issues. But still, sir, we think that circular economy definitely is a model of production consumption which involves the reusing, refurbishing, recycling of the waste. In just contrast to the linear economy where we use take the material and throw it. But in circular economy, definitely it generates the employments, of course, and by different ways. So government initiative, government of India has already there are so many Bharat Swachh Mission, that is the issues, or there Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, these are issues again in the state that Mukhyamantri Udyami Yojana are there. So we have to convert these regulations or these programs to the circular economy, so that key peoples will be get aware and that is benefited for the establishing this type of a system or a facility in the state. That is it. And one my request, my submission will be the government should also think about the promoting the waste by providing some sort of incentives to the person engaged, who is going to be engaged with the circular economy or recycling or dismantling system, sir.
Thank you, Jayaswal ji. First of all, I've been talking a lot with the chairman, earlier chairman, Dr. Ashok ji, and he was such a visionary in terms of, at least recognize that, okay, there is such a large gap. Both the member secretaries, the past one, so we have seen a few changes, but, everyone has been trying their best so that action can be taken, processes can be laid down, and there is a significant shift that is seen. Yet the problem is so large, it is so enormous that, whatever one does, it still seems very small. The problem is just so large. And with the, how do I say, growing consumption of electronic waste products in our daily lives, let's take expense now.
Your voice
Getting
is
very, very.
Your voice is breaking,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, let me just give me a second. Yeah, I hope it is better now.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So what my simple point is, the problem has grown so big, and ये बढ़ती जा रही है क्योंकि consumption हम लोग भी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा products खरीद रहे हैं, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा materials खरीद रहे हैं. Just simply आपको थोड़ा सा example देता हूँ. Smart watches का collection हमारे लिए इतना बढ़ गया है, and it's a very difficult to recycle product. Headphones, the wireless headphones have so much critical minerals, but almost impossible to recycle. And if we look at even TV as a segment, printing as a segment, हर जगह, the prices have gone so low that everyone is having multiple of these devices. Sometimes they don't really last. The quality of built products is also not necessarily, today the highest, barring, few organizations, but हर तरह का product है market में आज की date में. So the problem is growing at such a crazy space that even when, initiatives like your organization, या CSC, या, individual organizations like what Dr. Manerikar is trying to do, I mean, we are all falling very short of the larger problem. इतनी बड़ी, मतलब इतनी ज़्यादा scale पे grow हो रही है कि how do we really still solve it? So, one of the things, whether it is, we acting as catalyst, but sometimes it is just becoming overwhelming. The more I talk to people, the more overwhelmed people are getting. How do we increase the pace of our action? So I like to really just pick up, brains of all three of you. और क्या करें? मतलब जो हम कर रहे हैं has given great results, but still, it is not solving the problem. We are nowhere near to solving the problem. It is just so enormous. So, क्या करें, as independent organizations या मिलकर, which probably can enable these changes. Yeah, please.
मैं इसमें पहले कहना चाहूंगा कि आदमी व्यक्ति को अपने आवश्यकताओं को थोड़ा कम करने की आवश्यकता है, और जो इच्छाएं जो अनंत रखते हैं लोग, जो सोचते हैं कि भाई 1 से 2 3 सीट हम रखे, स्मार्टफोन को रखे, अपनी आवश्यकताओं को थोड़ा शिथिल करके अगर लिमिटेड वे में अगर जीवन यापन की कला सीख ले आदमी, तो निश्चित रूप से हम ऐसे वेस्ट को जनन करने में जो कमी ला सकते हैं. जहां पर आवश्यकता है वही चीज वैसे ही आवश्यकताओं का अनुरूप चले. बट आज की दुनिया, आप आईटी सिस्टम में और इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी, इतना दुनिया आदमी क्लोज हो गया है, इतना वाइड रेंज में प्रोडक्ट आ गया है कि अपने आप को उसमें मतलब कि नहीं यूज करके संकीर्ण महसूस करता है. इसलिए लेकिन वही माइंडसेट को अगर हम ठीक कर ले, अगर हम सोचे कि हमारे लिए भी सीमित आवश्यकताओं में हमके रहना है, हम सीमित आवश्यकताओं को जिने, क्योंकि ये पर्यावरण के लिए अनुकूल होगा हमारा. हमें नॉट ओनली आवश्यकताओं के बारे में बात करनी चाहिए, हम अपने पर्यावरण के हित के बारे में बात करनी चाहिए. We have to think that we have to, by circular economy, we can reduce the natural resources, and by we can reduce the natural resources and thrust on the environment. सो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है चीज है, हमको इस चीज पर अमल करने की आवश्यकता है।
बिल्कुल सर। Shobhit, I would really like to hear from you, because there has been such a groundbreaking work that, CSC has done in the past, in making course corrections and making the noise for core corrections to happen. So, what do you think? मतलब क्या करें इसको ठीक करने के लिए? मतलब ये pathway जो अभी है, इससे तो solve नहीं होता दिख रहा कुछ भी.
Sir, basically, what is required is, as Jayaswal sir also rightly mentioned, कि हम लोग को जरूरतें अपनी कम करनी है, रिसोर्स एफिशिएंसी जो हमारे पास है, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ दैट अप टू एंड ऑफ लाइफ। ठीक है, अभी आजकल क्या है कि सबके पास जो है फोन जो है 2 साल से ज्यादा चलता नहीं अभी किसी के पास भी। सो दैट माइंडसेट इज ऑलरेडी देयर, सो स्केल तो बड़ा होगा, that is for sure, but as organizations we should always talk about how to integrate ourselves, we as an organizations are working on different pathways, कैसे निकाल सकते हैं for better management of these waste. So जो हम देखते हैं कि इनफॉर्मल और फॉर्मल सेक्टर, मैं फिर कहूंगा सर कि हम लोग एज फॉर्मल एजेंसीज काम कर रहे हैं, बट हमारा इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर बहुत बड़ा है। उसको अगर हम अपने साथ इनफॉर्मल सेक्टर को फॉर्मल इंटीग्रेट कर लें, सो दैट उसका जो काम है, अकाउंटिंग अभी नहीं हो रही सर, है ना?
आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर, आप आवाज नहीं आ रही है सर।
नहीं, I can hear him well.
You are not audible.
Okay.
Jayaswal ji, we can hear him well. Shobhit, we can hear you well. I think some issue at Mr. Jayaswal's side. We can hear you very well. बिल्कुल clear आपकी आवाज आ रही है.
So what I was saying, that integration is important, sir. So informal sector is doing a lot at their place, but वो कहीं account नहीं हो रहा है. Maybe हम as formal agencies जो कर पा रहे हैं, that is as formal agency तो that is we have limited capacity. But अगर informal भी integrate होके आएगा, so इसमें मैं मेंशन करूंगा सर, जो हमारा लास्ट वीक जो अब SWM का नोटिफिकेशन आया है, there they have started talking about formalization, integration, के हम लोग अपना कबाड़ी वाला रैक पिकर्स को भी रजिस्टर करके ऑनलाइन पोर्टल पर अपना फॉर्मल जो है सेक्टर में इंटीग्रेट करें। ये पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल बोर्ड्स और इनको पॉल्यूशन कंट्रोल कमिटीज को बोला गया है। ठीक है, सो अभी हम उसको वी आर रिव्यूइंग दैट बेसिकली, बट ये सर एक सबमिशन है कि दैट इज द फर्स्ट स्टेप। उसके बाद क्वालिटी का जो आप बात कर रहे हैं, दैट कम्स द लेवल 2। ठीक है, सो अभी तो एडवोकेसी हम लोग इसी पे ही करें कि कैसे सब लोग मिलके, सब है कैपेसिटी अपने पास पूरी है सर, बस अभी डिवाइडेड है, वो इंटीग्रेट करके अगर हम काम करेंगे, so that will be और उसके लिए obligations थोड़ा सा rules में आ जाएंगे हम लोगों को, so it will be better for us. So that is what is important from our point of view.
Sure, thank you. Rajesh ji, would you like to pitch in? Would you like to share some more thoughts, your views?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
So what our viewer says is definitely true, that our personal behavior and personal behavioral change is very much important, and at present what is everybody is looking at others, not looking at myself. So that is very much important. That is very much important for reducing or using the best resource, using the resource as the best. But the thing is, who will start? That is the important part. Second is what informal and formal sector, that integration is very much required. That recent notification, draft notification is talking about. And important part is since the SDG, ESG is now talking about resource consumption and resource utilization at broader level, at upper level. But important is slowly this will trickle down in individual's life. because as a institutional setup, these things are being taken up very seriously due to various reasons. So similarly, these must be taken seriously at individual level and at a familiar level, because this is the most decentralized system where we are working in a residential complex. Because the or a family level, if you see, there are about 25 crore families in India, and in maintaining those lifestyle is a huge challenge, because we can govern the institutions, but these families, because if you see 25 crore families, they are generating waste, they are using resources and maintaining them with a proper principle that needs a behavioral change in everybody's approach. And that's why we must think that minimalistic approach is very much important. Usage is required, and promotion of those that lifestyle value shall also be important for reducing the waste, because as we all know, this reduction of waste is a better management, better solution for the management of waste. So that's what we shall focus on. Thanks.
Yeah, no, very true. And especially जब हम individual लोगों के लिए campaign करते हैं, for example, जो जिस तरह के campaigns your organization has been engaged in, they have the ability to actually change certain things, because people then are aware, they are थोड़ा peer pressure भी आता है when people see others acting. So that has also led to some change. But I think the big challenge that I keep on facing all the time is the growth of waste is so much faster than all the collective action that is being today put, that it's just outpacing. And there's a very, at least I loved a documentary which came on Netflix very recently called Buy More, which very nicely, explains the whole subject in a very simple way for any common man to to understand what's the problem at hand. And the problem is really enormous. So let me participating. If there are any questions, we request you to please put it in the chat box. We'll be very happy to take the questions to any of the panelists. If we are able to answer, if we are able to discuss certain things, we'll definitely try to do that. But kindly park your questions in the chat box. So another thing, just to initiate a second line of thinking, one of the things that has also been now debated is how do we, like government, for example, in plastic waste has already introduced use of recycled content in the products side. Even in the batteries, this regulation has come. E-waste is still missing. But one of the clear signals that such a regulation has given is now organizations, now entities need to rethink design of the products, which is a very, very strong signal, because historically design of the products has not been altered from a circularity point of view. But this sort of a shift is also triggering a very positive movement in that direction. Will it lead to better collection? Will it lead to? I believe so, because जब demand होगी तो we can also see probably investments coming in for collection systems, investments coming for high quality recycling, because low quality feed material तो जा ही नहीं पाएगा in creation of new products. So I'd like to hear your thoughts, because this is something that is being discussed, debated across the world. That how do we do this? So any thoughts from your side? Because बहुत ज़्यादा impact हमने design में नहीं देखा है अभी भी products के, from a recycling point of view, from a utilization of materials, efficiency of materials, reuse of components, वो changes अभी नहीं दिखाई देने शुरू हुए हैं. So any thoughts from anyone? Yeah, Shobhit.
Yeah, so basically, sir, इसमें one thing is कि whatever products are getting manufactured right now, ठीक है, उसका हम लोग बात करते हैं अभी. फॉर एग्जांपल अभी रिसेंटली टेक्सोनॉमी ऑफ ग्रीन स्टील आया. हाँ, सो इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट कार्बन एमिशंस। कार्बन एमिशंस के बेसिस पे उनका टेक्सोनॉमी उन्होंने डिसाइड किया, बट nowhere it is talking about aspect of circularity, inclusion of circularity aspect in taxonomy of green products. Okay, that is one thing. Then maybe standardization,
and that's
also
a huge gap. Shobhit,
yes.
what you mentioned is a huge gap, because अगर taxonomy नहीं होगी तो action कहाँ से आएगा?
राइट सो आपने रेगुलेशंस में अगर टेक्सोनॉमी में डेफिनेशन में ही नहीं डाला सर्कुलैरिटी एस्पेक्ट, नोबडी विल बी केयरिंग अबाउट सर्कुलैरिटी, कि मैं कितना जो है नेचुरल रिसोर्स ले रहा हूँ, मैं कितना मैं वेस्ट रिसोर्स ले रहा हूँ। देन सेकंड थिंग इज स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन ऑफ कि आप किस प्रोडक्ट को, उसमें क्या क्या, उसमें आपका वेस्ट का क्या प्रॉपर्टीज होगा, तो वो एक सर्टेन एप्लीकेशन में यूज हो जाएगा, उसका स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन होना चाहिए। हर वेस्ट का क्या प्रॉपर्टीज होगा फॉर अ सर्टेन एप्लीकेशन, वो दैट इज आल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट। फॉर एग्जांपल मैं फिर से SWM वाले नोटिफिकेशन की बात करूंगा, जिसमें RDF का अभी उन्होंने नोटिफाई कर दिया स्टैंडर्ड्स क्या क्या हैं, और उसमें इन्होंने डिस्टेंस भी बता दिया, सीमेंट सेक्टर के लिए बेसिकली बात करी है ना। सो दे हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट सम क्वालिटी आल्सो, एंड दे हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट कि कितना आप कर सकते हो सर्कुलरिटी में, RDF ला सकते हो, अपने यूज कर सकते हो। देन फॉर इंडस्ट्रीज टू यूज वेस्ट, उनको ऑब्लिगेशन लाना पड़ेगा, कंसेंट जो हम देते हैं SPCBs की तरफ से जाता है, उनके कंसेंट टू एस्टेब्लिश होते हैं, CTOs होते हैं, उसमें भी ये इंक्लूजन होना चाहिए कि आपका जो भी प्रोडक्शन आप कर रहे हैं, सर्टेन क्वांटिटी, सर्टेन परसेंटेज ऑफ योर रॉ मटेरियल, सर्टेन परसेंटेज ऑफ आवर रिसोर्सेज शुड बी फ्रॉम द वेस्ट स्ट्रीम्स। So these are some of the points which can be उसमें include करेंगे, so industries will do something about it। और प्लस जो मेरे ख्याल से हमारे शायद जायसवाल जी ने बोला था, इंसेंटिवाइजेशन इंडस्ट्रीज को, ठीक है। आज की डेट में मैं सर्कुलरिटी कर रहा हूँ, मेरे नेबर नहीं कर रहे हैं, there is no incentive for me to use waste as a resource or raw material या fuel। और वो चीज जो है प्लस जो आप एक इंडस्ट्री है उसको डिस्पोज करने का पैसा जो है वो कम देना पड़ रहा है, रादर देन उसको सर्कुलरिटी में डालने का, ठीक है। तो वो ये सारी चीजें एड्रेस होंगी, then it will promote industries, encourage industries to go towards circularity। So otherwise they industries
so address करें कैसे? I hear your points, इसको करें कैसे? मतलब I think a lot of debate has parallelly happened, not just here, but there's so many good forums where good debate is happening, but where I think everyone is getting stuck is, okay, how do we make it happen?
Sir, see, abhi just to bring out the guidelines will not help, बट जो हम बात करते हैं कि नोटिफाई करने की, है ना, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बताने की, स्टेक होल्डर्स शुड बी मेड रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर व्हाट इज टू बी डन। तो अभी आज 2018 में हमारा गाइडलाइंस आया था RDF के ऊपर, उसको नोटिफाई नहीं किया गया, लेकिन अभी वो इट इज नाउ नोटिफाइड। तो अब वो नोटिफाई हो जाएगा, अगर ड्राफ्ट जो आ गया है, if that gets notified, then all the stakeholders, municipal corporations, third party agencies, industries, सबकी responsibility they have mentioned clearly। So once that obligation is in place, then maybe we'll see something moving on ground। अभी भी हो रहा है, but then quality and quantity का जो मैचअप है वो नहीं हो पा रहा है। So म्यूनिसिपैलिटीज के अपने इश्यूज हैं, इंडस्ट्रीज के अपने इश्यूज हैं, ये मैं RDF के केस में बोल रहा हूँ। So ये सब चीजें हैं, मे बी once obligation is there, then people will things will start moving on the ground also।
Sure. Anything from you?
Yeah.
जयसवाल जी आप म्यूट पे हो।
आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी।
यस सर।
मेरा जैसा भी कह रहे थे भी, जस्ट सिमिलर पैटर्न, अगर हम ई वेस्ट के बारे में हट के बात करें कुछ, जैसे सपोज करें एस्बेस्टस इंडस्ट्री है जिसमें एस्बेस्टस शीट बनाती है, उसमें अगर broken asbestos या that is discarded asbestos that comes under hazardous waste, बट उसको जो asbestos में जो fibers asbestos fibers का इस्तेमाल किया था रॉ मटेरियल में, बेसिक रॉ मटेरियल में, उसमें अगर हम 2% से ज्यादा हम मिला नहीं सकते हैं, तो हमारे पास भी एक लिमिटेशन है किसी रॉ मटेरियल को जो वेस्ट है उसको हम उसके एक्चुअल रॉ मटेरियल के साथ जो वर्जिन मटेरियल उसके साथ मिलाने में कुछ लिमिटेशन है, हम उसे कर सकते हैं, बट उस सेम पैटर्न दैट में बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड। लेकिन हम अगर बात करें सर ई वेस्ट में जो रूल की बारे में बात करें, हम ई वेस्ट के बारे में बात करते हैं, ई वेस्ट में अगर देखें तो ब्रॉडली हम उस कंपोनेंट की बात करें तो उसमें देखेंगे कि आयरन स्टील अगर दैट कंस्टिट्यूट अप्रोक्सीमेटली 50% होता है, 50% आसपास में आयरन स्टील कंपोनेंट, प्लास्टिक लगभग 20 से 21% हो सकता है, नॉन फेरस मेटल लगभग 12-13% होता है, अदर मटेरियल्स। तो नॉन फेरस मेटल जो होते हैं दैट जो हमारे पास जो हजार्डस जो हमारे हेवी मेटल्स हैं और उसमें प्रीशियस मेटल्स हैं, तो ये हजार्डस मेटल जो कंपोनेंट है नॉन फेरस, उसके कारण हमारा उसका हजार्डस का कैरेक्टरिस्टिक में आता है अगर हम उसको इलेक्ट्रॉनिक वेस्ट में बात करते हैं। लेकिन हम अगर ई वेस्ट में जो रूल 2022 में देखें हम, तो उसमें ऑलरेडी सर प्रोड्यूसर को रिसाइकलिंग टारगेट फिक्स कर दिया गया है। अगर शेड्यूल 2, 3 एंड 4 में देखें, दैट ऑलरेडी टारगेट हैव बीन फिक्स्ड टू द प्रोड्यूसर, दे हैव टू recycle their waste water have they produced in the market, so that is the mandatory now, so that will help in the circularity of the e-waste, sir.
Sure. Rajesh, anything from your side? Maybe we can also take the last closing remarks. I don't see many questions here, but any last closing remarks from all the speakers? It has been a very, very good discussion. And coming from different spheres, all of us are in different spheres of action. So I would like to really open up for the last remarks, before we close the session. So anything from
just to add on the production side or the product design side, especially the life cycle assessment that is being carried out mostly for the products. If that can be stringent and those can be implemented very strictly after the disposal or after use of the product, what is the fate of that product, and what is the method for its disposal and how it is to be disposed? Because right now something is coming, right? We are also unaware of exact quantity of manufacture of goods and what is the e-waste that is produced every year. That we know that it is a broad amount we have, but as we go down at municipal level or at any level where somebody wants to start a business, then it is very difficult to have the numbers. So these numbers are can be made available or can be made available through this life cycle assessment, detailed life cycle assessment of products. While doing product, if we make it mandatory, that will be helpful. This is what we felt, that it will be if we do it from cradle to cradle, so that will be very good.
Yeah, and just to build on this, we have been doing a very detailed material level analysis at a product level. So कोई भी product, let's take example of a smartwatch, because I was building on that. अब इसको अगर खोलें तो one finds 7 or 8 varieties of materials. Now almost 80% of it is very difficult to recycle or not recyclable. And जिस level पे जितना small size है उसको dismantle करना, segregate करना itself becomes a nightmare. And the costs of dismantling and then recovering are significantly higher than the material value inherent in the product itself. So these sort of challenges are growing dramatically. And जब तक हम design पे change नहीं करेंगे, something very fundamental, I don't think these problems can be eliminated. So, and yes, like you rightly said कि कहीं पे assessment होना जरूरी है कि what is the problem at hand. Simple products की बात करूं जैसे screens, whether it is LCD monitors, LED monitors, your screens, desktop monitors, laptop monitors, they all contain a type of glass which today cannot be recycled. only 100% of this material is being sent to TSDF or to landfill sites. So, while it goes to recycler के पास भी answer नहीं है for a very large amount of fractions of material, whatever one may say, but scientifically speaking, and again, I'm saying whatever one may say because a lot of people claim they have, but scientifically it just doesn't exist. So even if people claim, it's a false claim. So, and there are hundreds of these fractions and growing. So how do we go and solve this? Because अगर collection solve हो भी जाता है तो भी recycling solve नहीं होता until unless we rethink design. So yeah, I mean challenges, there are a whole range of challenges I think जो हमें collectively solve करने पड़ेंगे, बातचीत करनी पड़ेगी, and most importantly बातचीत के सिवाय action पे भी खूब सारा जोर देना पड़ेगा. So any last remarks from you, Shobhit, Jayaswal ji?
You rightly said, sir, we have to come forward with some sort of intervention with the design system. But as you think that regulation are coming more and more in fashion manner. Suppose that earlier we have had a limited number of the electronic waste category, waste and electrical and electronic equipments. Now 7 categories has come, and that includes 106 items as electronic waste in new regulation. Sir, but of course, e-waste rule 2016 guideline prepared by SPCB, the average life of the waste electrical equipment have been defined like that. So based on the average lifetime, we should have the plan. In plan, first we have to definitely think about the inventorization of the waste, how much quantity. But whatever the recyclers and dismantlers, I do not remember or not aware, those who are being established, whether they are in the true spirit of the requirement of the recycling, or just they are collecting and dismantling the items and just to send to some other recyclers. So we have to think that what that is number of recycler dismantler which have been established earlier or going to be established should think of come forward and should work in the true sense with the environmental sound management and for the urban mining concept.
Sure. Thank you, Jayaswal ji.
Thank you.
Shobhit, any closing remarks from your side?
And Jayaswal ji, as you mentioned, inventorization, mapping is also one aspect which should be inclusive of this particular, exercise of inventorization, because what waste can get utilized in where, that is also important to map. So inventorization is one, but it has to be, complemented with, mapping of the different waste which are getting generated in the country. So that is one thing. And maybe, we can think of, I have already mentioned, like policies are important, integration is important. When we are talking about, defining the green products, taxonomy is important. It should be inclusive of circularity aspects. Then maybe, there has to be a central agency in the country who should be looking into the circularity aspect as a whole, because right now, different agencies, different government agencies are looking it in, in their own capacity. But a common, agency, and then maybe a common dashboard can be prepared, can be developed by the government to share success stories on circularity, right? And wherein, this mapping and inventorization should also be part of that dashboard. So that part is one. And then, the most important part is the capacity building. So that is the whole, way forward we can see for right now.
Sure. Thank you, Shobhit.
Thank you.
With this, I'd really like to thank all the panelists for a very good, rich discussion and an open debate. Because as I said, and I think we all acknowledge that this is a very, very large problem at hand. And while we are all uniquely trying to solve it in our own ways, this requires a lot more than what we have achieved collectively today. And in no way undermining what has been done. I mean, a significant work has been done, but more in some way.
Yes.
Yeah, in some way, many times multiplier effect needs to be brought in to solve the problem in the way it exists today. But really would, like to thank all of you for being on the session, having a good discussion debate. Such debates really help in coming up with new ideas, new abilities to collaborate, cooperate. And I really believe, this will help all of us, if none else, at least four of us, and many of the participants to find ways of how do we collaborate with each other. So with this, I'd like to really thank all of you, all the panelists. I'd like to thank all the people who joined us on the call. And I'd also like to thank all our sponsors, Apple, Dell Technologies, Canon India, Cisco, and Ericsson, for enabling such webinar series. Thank you so much. And have a very good day.
Thank you all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. All of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.